dad was cheating on my mom. So my dad had been a stay-at-home dad when he was with my mom. My mom worked 2 jobs to take care of us. My dad could never get a job because he had a criminal record. So the only jobs that would hire him was the minimum wage jobs like McDonald's. He used to always say he was too old to work in fast food. So he would just stay at home and take care of me and my brother. So I was 10 at the time, and I remember my mom was working a late shift. This particular night, I couldn't sleep. I was having a nightmare because me and my brother had watched Freddy Krueger right before bed, and I was scared to go to sleep because I thought Freddy would kill me in my sleep. So I just laid in my bed staring at the ceiling. It was really late. All of a sudden, I heard a knock on the door. I was sure it wasn't my mom because I knew she had a key and wouldn't knock. It was too early for her to be home as well. I heard my dad coming down the stairs, and then he opened the door. I immediately got up out of my bed to see who was at the door, but I didn't want my dad to see I was still awoke because we had a strict bedtime at 8 and it was 11. I knew if my dad saw me, he would whoop me for not being asleep. So I quietly tiptoed out my room. I tried to peek in the living room, but I heard my dad walking back upstairs. But I also heard a woman's voice giggling. I was so confused. Was it my mom coming home from work early? Stay tuned to find out. Okay, so after I heard my dad shut his bedroom door, I snuck in the living room and looked out the blinds to see if my mom's car was in the driveway. But it wasn't her car. It was a car I had never seen before in our driveway. This made me even more curious. I was just a kid, so I was thinking in my mind, if that's not my mom upstairs with my dad, who was it? And why were they in my mom's bedroom while my mom was at work? So I went in my brother's room to wake him up. My brother was older than me. He was 13 at the time. So my brother woke up like, "Why are you waking me up?" And I was like, "Hush, don't talk too loud." He looked at the time and seen it was after 11 and was like, "Go to bed." But I told him that dad has a woman in mom's room that's not mom. He immediately sat up and was like, "You lying." I was like, "No, go look outside. Her car is parked in our driveway." So he went to see and he got upset. I didn't understand what really was happening. So I was like, "Why are you mad?" And he was like, "Dad is cheating on mom." And my brother was a mama's boy. Like, he really loved my mom. So he stormed upstairs and tried to open the door, but it was locked. He was like, "Hurry up, go get a knife." So I ran downstairs to get a knife. I thought he was going to kill my dad, but he needed it to open the door. My dad was like, "Who is that?" My brother opened the door and my dad was naked with another woman. I just remember it smelling so stinky in the room. My brother started yelling at my dad like, "How could you bring another woman to my mom's house?" My dad started yelling at us, telling us to go back in our rooms. I was so scared, so I went downstairs and called the police. I actually called the police and told them my dad is cheating on my mother. I don't know what I was thinking. My dad sent the lady home and whooped us and told us not to tell my mom. The police ended up coming too. I don't know why they came, but they did. And they asked us, was we okay? And we were crying and we told them we wanted our mom, and our dad whooped us for nothing. Like, he whooped us for getting caught cheating. They saw how upset we were and called my mom. My mom ended up putting my dad out the house. And until this day, my brother and my dad do not get along.
How I found out my best friend set me up to get assaulted and robbed. Disclaimer, is not my story time. I'm sending me on Instagram. Growing up, I got bullied a lot and I never had a best friend. After graduating from college, I landed a really good job. I actually started working as a forest ranger, and this was my dream job. I love being outside in nature. Like I said, I don't have a lot of friends. I even had to move to a smaller town to be at this job. When I got to this small town, immediately one girl started trying to befriend me. Let's call her Katie. Katie was extremely nice to me. Like, almost too nice at the beginning. She was always inviting me to go out and even introduced me to all her friends. I ended up really liking her friend group, which was so nice. A month into living there, weird things started happening. One day I woke up to a knife in my tire. Then a few days later, 2 of my packages were stolen. I decided to install a Ring camera and I told nobody. For the next 2 weeks, nothing happened. Then one night, my Ring camera notifies me that someone is outside my door. The person was wearing a black hoodie, so I couldn't see their face, but I could tell that they were a woman. Part 2 is up. How I found out my best friend set me up to get assaulted and robbed. Disclaimer is not my story time, it's that I'm on Instagram. That's when I see a black figure outside my door. Couldn't see exactly who they were, but I could tell it was a woman. I obviously didn't confront them because I didn't know if they had weapons. Instead, I turned on my porch light and they ran away. The next morning, I realized that they were scoping, trying to figure out how they could get in my house. I went to the police and they told me that it was probably just teenagers playing a joke on me. I decided to believe them because I couldn't imagine somebody wanting to rob me. But more weird things started happening. I have my packages stolen at least once a week, so I decided to get a P.O. box instead. Mind you, while all of this is happening, I'm still hanging out with Katie and her friends. She was always calling me her bestie, and we would do everything together. She would even come over to my house and sleep over. I truly thought that she was a good person. One night I go out with Katie and her friends. Katie decided to get belligerently drunk. This is when she started saying things like, "We know you have money. You come from money, don't you?" I decided to go to the bathroom, and when I came back, they were all gone. Part 3 is up. How I found out my best friend set me up to get assaulted and robbed. Disclaimer is not my story time, it's me on Instagram. When I come back from the bathroom, I realized they ditched me. By the way, they had given me a ride to the bar. Because there's no Uber at that time in my small town, I ended up having to hitch a ride with some random man. The next day, Katie comes over super apologetic. She even asked me if she could sleep over, so I said yes. The entire time she was at my house, she kept trying to smoke cigarettes outside, and she kept leaving the door unlocked. I finally go to bed, I check that the door is locked, and it was. Then at 2 a.m., I wake up to my Ring alarm notifying me that there's people outside. When I look, there are 4 men standing at my door, and they're yelling at me to open the door. They even said, "Be ready because we're horny." I was petrified. I instantly called the police and told them that they needed to leave, which they did. Then I go looking for Katie and she's nowhere to be found. When the cops came, they ended up telling me that Katie had done this to other women, and that the group of men were her cousins. That's when I realized that she was the one stealing all my stuff. They were arrested, but they couldn't keep him there. How am I going to be in the same town as her? I don't think I should have to move. What should I do?
I'm not kidding. I'm sitting in the parking lot of Sam's, and this woman literally just ran over this dude. Like, he was dropping off the cart, walking back, and she's zooming through the parking lot and hits him. And he walks away with a limp. And he's like, "No, it's okay." And I'm like, "Are you good? Like, are you good?" And somebody else stopped, like, "Are you good?" Because, shoot, I'll testify. I'll be a snitch. But he's like, "No, I'll be fine. I'll be fine." This is why some old people need to stay in their retirement home. They don't need to be coming out here to civilization. They can't even see.
My girlfriend is upset that I didn't go to her brother's wedding with her because she was wearing a white dress. Last weekend, my girlfriend's oldest brother got married. She has 1 older brother and 2 younger ones. I was supposed to go with my girlfriend, but instead of wearing the dress she bought when we went shopping together with her mom, she wore a different one. It was a lacy white floor-length one. I asked her if it was really appropriate to wear a dress like that to someone else's wedding, but she said it's not a wedding dress. It sure looked like one, but she said it was only $150 and not a wedding dress. I decided not to go because she was being so inappropriate and I thought it would be too embarrassing. I messaged her cousin that I might have been exposed to COVID and couldn't come because I didn't want to make drama. I found out that she didn't change her dress before she went. I also found out that she got there later than she was supposed to, and she started to try to walk up the aisle to her seat after everyone else was sitting in their seats and the wedding was about to start. Her dad stopped her and she had to sit in the back, and her parents drove her back to her apartment so she could change dresses between the ceremony and the reception. Her cousin told me that she told everyone that since her brother is gay and there was no bride at the wedding, she didn't see a problem with wearing that dress. Her parents made sure that the photographer didn't take any pictures with her anywhere in them when she was wearing the white dress. She's still mad I didn't go, but I think I dodged a bullet. She still doesn't think she did anything wrong.